Hello my YouTube lovelies, and welcome to this episode, the last episode in Season 2, Episode 14, Light Up My World. Before I start, I'd like to welcome anybody that is new, to encourage you to subscribe, hit the like or dislike button, hit the notification bell, all of that bejazzle, and it'd be lovely to have you on board. So the last one, Episode 14, Light Up My World. What is this all about? This is basically all things electric. So this is kind of the end of the build, I suppose. Now, many people have kind of different ways of approaching this. I think a lot of people, when they plan their vans, they think about the electrics and where the appliances are going to be going, etc, etc. So a lot of stuff is pre-thought and planned, and people will put conduit in, they'll run the cables into the ceiling or into the walls when the insulation is going in, and then they'll clad it and everything with the knowledge that all of the cable is behind there. I didn't work in that way. I wanted to build a structural, very well insulated, nice looking ceiling and wall, etc. And it's not that I didn't think about the electrics. The electrics had always been thought about, believe it or not. It just took quite a long time to get to where I am now, but it had already been thought about and was planned, believe it or not. When I built the van, obviously I was already living in it, so stuff had to happen fairly quickly, and because of the fact that I was living in it, there were remnants of things that I had when I used to camp, etc. So certain sort of torches and lanterns that I had, etc. So because I was sort of camping in it for, I guess, 2 weeks or so, as the furniture kind of built up around me, there was no electric, so to speak, and so I was literally existing on portable things. And as everything got built, the portable things became kind of more of a necessity, and rather than spend the money that I didn't have at the time and try and sort out the electrics and do everything electric, I spent what little money I had on portable electrics. So I battery operated lanterns and various light sources, etc. And just for one reason or another, just ended up keeping that stuff longer than I had ever anticipated. To the amusement and the jokes that Ash and CJ and Trace would have at my expense, and the fact that they couldn't believe that I lived in this AA battery world, and I have. And had lived in a AA battery world for the best part of 2.5 years. So I guess in a weird way it's testament to show that it is possible to live in a van and not have a full electric system in, etc., and you can make do, and I have made do for 2.5 years or more, actually. And I'm not saying that it's ideal, but it is possible, and it does function, and you can exist, and you know, things were reasonably nice and comfortable, and you know, there were some memorable nights I can think of. I've just sat with my fairy lights, etc., and yeah, it just was nice, and I quite liked that low ambient light that these AA batteries gave me. There was something quite nice about it. But we've moved on now, okay? So the idea of the light boxes that you see behind me, running the full length of the van. That was quite early on in the process, in terms of that I already knew that was a workable thing, and it came apparent to me when I built the walls and started to clad the walls, the way it finished. There's this, in the IVECO, as it runs the length of the van here, there's this sort of a structural piece of metal, and it's quite chunky and it sticks out, and so therefore the wall sits quite nicely underneath that, and then you've got this chunk of metal that sits up there, and then you have the ceiling. So it was a problematic area, and so the idea of the light box was always there in the background, and I had a lot of confidence in knowing that how I would use this and what I was planning to do would work very well for me. Bearing in mind that my job is a theatre technician, okay, unless, you know, I don't know whether you've already guessed that or not, but that's what I do. And there was once upon a time in my career, I have been, and still am every now and then, a freelance theatre lighting designer. So I kind of know a lot about lighting and the various aspects of the design and architecture of lighting and what it does, etc. So I always had this confidence in knowing how these light boxes were going to work, and also what they would look like as well. So with that there was never really any rush to get them finished. So when I first did the light boxes, I had a strip of LED, I think it was 2 strips of LED, which were given to me, funny enough, as a present from a lovely bunch of guys who I worked on a production. In fact, it was probably one of the last lighting designs and set designs I ever did, was for a show called Words as Bullets. And the company, the beautiful, wonderful company, gave me as a sort of thank you present these LED strip lights, coloured LED strip lights. So they run underneath here, underneath the light box. So they were installed quite early doors, and I think I then found some battery operated LEDs which I then ran in the channel in the box above, and they literally had sort of 2 sort of boxes where you would put sort of 3 AA batteries in, basically, and that was it. And they worked reasonably well. The ones in the light box weren't particularly bright, but they were more of an aesthetic thing. That was the whole point of this light box. Now it does work very well, and it works as a very, very good light source, but primarily it was really just an architectural design feature. So any kind of light in there, no matter how bright it was still nice and nice to look at. The stuff that ran underneath, what I did was that eventually that ran to a I think I managed to get a like a cigarette lighter adapter, and because it had a sort of phono adapter on the end, I plugged that in. And when I'd got the solar panel fitted, the company who did that, they also put in a small 12-volt socket at the foot here, at the front of the bulkhead. So I was able to plug said cigarette lighter adapter into that 12-volt socket, and then that gave me the lights down the walls. And then everything else was just portable stuff. There were fairy lights. I seemed to, for a while, I had in here at least 3 or 4 sets of fairy lights, and there's a tour that Ash did, Lost in Europe, and there's a van tour. I'll stick the link up here somewhere, and in that van tour I think you can see all of said fairy lights running down the bulk of the van. And that's how I existed for ages and ages and ages, and was basically just trying to save money, etc. The leisure battery was just that Numark 105 amp hour battery, and I think part of the reason for me not wanting to sort of go to town on electrics at the earlier stages was mainly because The leisure battery was primarily the power source for running the diesel heater, so I didn't really want to sort of drain that, so hence going portable and AA with everything else, AA, AAA, you name it. Move forward however many years, and we get to January 21 and a visit to my mate Tracy's, and he basically said, look, I've got some bits, let's sort you out. So we did a stage 1, or let's say a stage 1 fix, which was basically to put 4 circuits in and to get 4 circuits of lights working. We got ourselves a 4-way switch, and there's a strip, an LED strip here above me on the bulkhead, which Trace donated to us. So that went into the first circuit, so that's my sort of like coming into the back of the van first switch. And we then wired up the underneath, which were 12-volt LEDs anyway, so we just rewired those and they went into another circuit. We tried our best to try and wire up the LEDs that ran off the batteries. We did all kinds of things, but they just wouldn't work, and it was something to do with the voltage, I think, because it's something like 9-volt voltage, and with the 12-volt voltage they just weren't working very well. So he had another very small strip of LED which we ran in the light box temporarily, and that was all running off one fuse, an inline fuse, and just clipped straight onto the battery. And that was kind of fix 1. In that stage I was able to then basically run the white lights all the way down the van, replacing the temporary one that I had this side. So ran white lights in both sides, and then bought a set of 12-volt LED coloured ones to run the full length as well, and some of those were put in, cabled up, etc. And that was it. Is that all of the circuits? 1, 2, 3, 4 circuits, yeah. And then I basically put a bit of money aside and then decided to go with stage 2, which is to basically replace leisure batteries, etc. Replaced the Newmark for what are they, Expedition batteries. They're 115 amp hour batteries, the same ones that Max has got actually. And bought myself a Renogy unit, which is a B2B 50 amp, that's all connected up to the engine battery, and then built into that there is an MPPT solar charger, and a few other bits and pieces, cable, etc. It comes to quite a lot of money actually, and when you're pricing these things up, when you see something individually, you think, oh, that's only a couple of hundred, that's alright, that's 100, that's 50 or whatever. Before you know it, you've spent a load of money, but it's done. Okay. The cupboard where all the electrics are, I'll show you all this in a bit, that was actually built in preparation in the first lockdown. So when I was on my mother's driveway, I thought, let's actually cut this all out, get the door set up, work it all out, see whether the potential for making a space for all of the electrics is going to work in that spot. So that was all done over lockdown 1, and that's where I jigsawed through my control cable for the diesel heater, so had to do a bit of a fix on that. But it works an absolute treat, the cupboard, and it's really nice. And the thinking was always to have batteries and electrics at this end of the van, and also really, really accessible. There's no having to go into a garage or lift up a sofa or a cupboard or whatever. the electrics in this van is literally just taking a panel off, opening the door, and it's all there, and it's really, really easy to access and really easy to get to do any fixes or to add to or whatever. It's all there, really easy to see. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you on a bit of a tour. I'll show you all the various bits and pieces. Now, the last time I did this went wrong, didn't it? So I've charged the battery, I think, this time. So what I'm going to do is, this bad boy's going to still keep running, so you'll see my arse running up and down here, and then I'm just going to basically go onto the Osmo, and I'll take you a tour, show you all the various lights. You might have bits of flicker and bits of strobing, so you know, if so, drop a pill and put some music on, and let's see where we're going to go. Right, we've got an error now. What's going on? Oh Lord, do you know, you wouldn't believe sometimes, you think, Christ, you know, does this guy really know what he's doing? You know, he's a technician, for God's sake. And I'll be back. Right, I'm back. So here we go. We'll take you on a tour with this one, and then, you know, you can see what's going on, have an earwig in this one. Okay, so I'm going to turn you around and we're going to look at said lighting. Okay, so at the moment you see us with our main working lights on. Okay, if we turn those off, okay, you've still got remnants here on the right hand side of fairy lights and stuff, and I still like to keep those in because they're a nice reminder, and they also look really, really nice anyway. So those are a remnant of what was on the kitchen. So behind me, as we spin you around, okay, you can see this is my video light that's working there. Now that video light normally sits kind of up here, sort of around here, and I can use that if I'm cooking, etc. But it clips on and stuff, so it's on a little magic arm. And then we've got this LED which goes across the top, so this is what was donated by Trace, thank you mate. And so that's sort of my first circuit, and then as we spin you around, we've then got our second circuit, which are the LED lights which sort of run underneath the light box, and they run underneath both sides. You can see them here running underneath the door as well, and obviously they're coloured ones, so they change, etc. And then we have the light box. Okay, and again you can see in the light box, and that runs both sides. Okay, and if we come back and we turn you around, as that runs both sides, you can see that actually then runs into the bulkhead, above the bulkhead, and the cupboard. And look, there's me filming you, filming me, watching you, and all of that stuff. Yeah. Okay. That's everything on. It don't look very bright on camera, but believe me, it is nice and bright, and it's perfect. It's perfect for what I need. And the additional things that I've put in are just additional spotlights. So we have these little things here. So we've got this nice little spotlight, and it's got this nice little feature. So if you just push that little blue button and then touch the blue, so you've either got a little blue LED light, so you've got a nice little bit of ambient blue, and then touch it again, and then there's your light. And if you keep your finger on that, it will change in intensity as well. Let's see if I can get that to work for you. And then that, keep your finger on it, and you can see there it dims. Put your finger on it again, and it gets brighter. Okay, so we've got this nice little spotlight here. I kind of like lights to be in sort of certain areas, so if I want a light, I just switch on the light for that particular thing. I don't need to have light all over. Coming back here, there's the nice lit up piece there of Mad Max's Max Vanlife, and a really nice little feature which I got him to make for us. If I remember, I'll try and put a link to his website because they're really good, and that's a really nice feature, and it's right in the center of the van as well, which is really cool. The other addition that we did with electrics was to then put in this panel. I'm just going to put a light on here so you can see. So there's another little 12-volt panel there with a switch, the voltage meter, a couple of USBs, and a 12-volt cigarette. And then we'll take you up onto the bed. Do you want to come into bed with me? Right, I'll show you how easy it is to get into bed. Oh God. So the view from the boudoir, okay, obviously you have all the lights in the light box, running down the wall, etc. And then I've added another little cheeky light in my little cupboard here. And these lights, by the way, these ones with the little blue touch LED, they've also got a USB socket on as well. So that's a really nice little thing. Little bed light there. Let's get out of here. There is also here a remnants from the old days, this sensor light that comes on, but really handy when you need to go up for a toilet in the night. So that just comes on, enables me to see what's what. Not that I need to see how to go for a piss, but you know what I mean. Okay, on this side, bookcase, another little LED spotlight, bit different. There's a USB under here, but this is just a touch, so you just touch any surface, and again, if you touch it again, it goes off. And it's the same where you keep your finger on it, it will dim. Put your finger back on, it'll go back up again. So just again, a nice little reading light there, just so I can put my back up against here, position it around for reading. And then there is another one at the other end here as well, same thing. Okay, and what I did was to put those two lights, the two lights down the other side, so the bedroom and the one in the kitchen and the socket, they're all on another switch. So we've got the left hand side of the van and the right hand side of the van. And what we did was the original, just put a light on here so you can see, the original socket that was always in there from when I put the solar panel. Once that had got put in, that's left over, and then that is switched from that little light switch and the two little LED spotlights on the picture wall and the bookcase, etc. So I've got individual control over both sides of the van, and I can switch them off when I leave the van, knowing that everything's okay. And there's two more USBs there, the 12 volts, and then obviously the 12 volt reader. And there, yeah, you can see control panel, standard 4 switches, a solar panel that we don't need anymore, the heater, and then the 2 switches. And then again, remnants of the good old times. Still got another little switch here just to run 2 more little LEDs, one at the top here in the kitchen, and then there's another one here on the other side. So it's just another one, you know, as a just in case. You've always got a another alternative that comes off. Okay, this is for all you geeks out there. Here's the electrical cupboard. Okay, so you can see the Renogy B2B charger and MPPT charger. That's really difficult to say. I don't know why I struggle with that. Christ almighty, it's only 4 letters. And then that all runs, everything's all got breakers. So I have a breaker to go from the Renogy to the engine battery. There's a separate breaker to go from the Renogy to the solar, and there's another breaker that's not on at the moment. It's that one on the bottom left. That's ready for when an inverter goes in. I'm still waiting for an inverter. And then you have the breaker that goes to the fuse panel. You've got the 12 volt fuse panel there. Really simple. I've just got my heating and then my 4 sockets of lights, and then a socket left and right for both sides of the van, and that's it. And then plenty of room for additionals. And then I have my battery charger that's always been in there. I've always had a battery charger and a 4-way power supply, so that I could always plug into campsites, etc., and I was able to use that to charge batteries. And you can see down in the bottom there, there's a 4-way that runs to the front of the cab, and I just open the window in order to get power. And then we have also the super duper, let's switch that off. I don't know if you can see that any better, but no, probably not. But the meter there, which gives me a really good reading now, so I can see percentage wise and how many amp hours I'm drawing and what amp hours are left in the batteries, etc. That really does make a big difference, just that peace of mind and knowledge, knowing that we're all okay. And then underneath there, they're the batteries. So gone from one 105 to now 2 115s. The Energy Expedition Pluses, EXP12-115, for anyone that's interested. Alright, and that's all sat nicely underneath there. And there you have it. That is everything electric. It's been amazing since having the new install and stage 2 of electrics done. It's been absolutely amazing. It's changed, just, it's ridiculous. I cannot to this day believe that I spent so long in this situation. I really cannot believe it's taken me that long. And yet I suppose that's the thing with van life. You kind of make do. And you know, they always say that your van's never finished, etc., and you just go from one job to another, and eventually when you've got a bit of time, a bit of money, you do the next thing. But this last set of jobs, just that peace of mind of now knowing that I've got leisure batteries that are going to keep me going. I've now got a decent B2B charger. It's 50 amps as well, so you know, any decent drive is going to charge those back up. I've yet to see these batteries drop below 90%. You know, it will normally be, on average, it will be at about 94, 95 the following day when I get in. If there's just solar, it will be at 97, 98. If I take it for a drive, you're looking at 100 easily. So just having that peace of mind, knowing that I could just go for a drive and get power, whereas before I was literally just relying on the PWM charger, and that was it. I didn't even have a split charge relay, nothing. So I really struggled, and the fact that I've done 3 winters like that, is testament to, well, A, I guess how friggin' stubborn I can be, but B, you know, how you can make do, basically. So yeah, I think that's your lot. I'm going to end it there. Next season, I hear you ask, what is going to be the next season? I've got some ideas. It's not going to be as long as season 1 and season 2. It would probably be something like 6, maybe 7 episodes, I don't know. I have ideas of things that I would like to do, but it's going to take me a while to sort of get those things filmed and set up, bearing in mind that I've basically run out of B-roll, hence the end of this particular season. All of my B-roll of the build has been exhausted, and so I now have to sort of get out there and film. Yeah, I think it would be nice to just have a bit of a break. There will be the occasional vlog. There's stuff that I've filmed from some time ago that it'd be nice to put into some kind of vlog form, and I will then endeavour to sort of start piecing together season 3. Season 3 will have the long-awaited van tour. There might be a couple of different styles of van tour, but you'll see the van, not that, you know, I mean, Christ, you can see it, and you know, if you use that link to Lost in Europe, you can see the van in that anyway. But I'll do a proper full in-depth no bars held van tour, and we'll talk about how much it's cost. I'll be very, very open and frank and transparent about exactly how much this has cost. There will be bits about what was good, what was bad, what would I change, what wouldn't I change, and I'll talk about van life in general. You know, was it a good move? Did I make a good decision? Was it a bad decision? You know, do I want to take the blue pill? You know, who knows? I mean, this certainly isn't a lifelong journey, but you know, you never know. But all sorts of things like that will come out in season 3 and other little bits and pieces. I want to end this by basically saying a thank you to all of my subscribers. This channel has kind of plateaued. It's been at the 1500 mark. It just doesn't seem to go up. It seems to go down on a regular basis. I sort of lose 4-6 subscribers here and there every couple of weeks or so, and it just doesn't seem to go above well, not highly above 1500. So I think I've created a unique niche little channel, and I want to say to those 1500s, you know, I know that there's only a few hundred that ever watch the content anyway, and for those few of you that drop comments and I have a dialogue with, etc., I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. You mean everything that you put in there means a lot to me, and it's really nice to have some sort of contact and some sort of connection with you guys as viewers. So thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one, whenever that is. Cheers.